Hey guys, Thrall is, in my opinion, one of the most consistent solo laners in the game. He's consistent in the way that he doesn't get absolutely stomped by anyone, and he doesn't absolutely stomp anyone. He is just a very powerful laner that you can abuse specific power spikes to push ahead in game. So I really want to do a 4 mistakes video, but there's quite a lot more than just 4 mistakes, and there's a lot of tips that I want to add as well. So let's get started with some of them. The first tip that I want to add is how to stack Echo quickly. Echo of Elements is the most common pick for level 1, and it stacks by killing a minion with your Q or within 1.5 seconds of the Q landing. And I see people wait until the frontline minion gets low enough, and then they just use their Q. But you can actually lower the backline minion as well, so that when it bounces, you can kill off the rest of them with your E. Now, I did it a little bit incorrectly there because I was talking at the same time, but there are ways to actually do it really well and get 4 stacks per wave. I'm going to reset it, and I'll show you one more time with me focusing a little bit more, so you can see what should actually be done. But I average about 3 to 4 stacks per wave, even when an enemy laner is there. But if no laner gets to the lane, the first thing I do is I get the backline low. And the first one, I usually just do a quick Q on, and I leave it. And then the next one, I like to wait, and I have cooldowns toggled, so it'd be up about now. And then I do the next one, and as it bounces through, I kill the rest of the minions really quick and get the other stacks. So this wave, I ended up getting 4 stacks off that wave. And that's what you need to focus on. It seemed a little, not that clean because you saw the 2 that I missed for sure. But you definitely can work on that. It's a very easy way to get stacks by utilizing your other things as well. So you can use Q to finish something off, or you could just finish it off within the timer of the Q, which is another way to do it. So sometimes you can get things low, pop a Q, finish things off with your other abilities. And there's a lot of other ways to get it, but I would say the average wave, I get about 3 to 4 per wave, sometimes even 5 if I get lucky or plan it out really well. And this is a great way to complete this quest before even level 4. If you complete this quest before level 4, when you hit 4, you can blow anyone out of the water because you're gaining your cooldowns back, your mana back, and you're just absolutely destroying. So that's the first tip / mistake. The next mistake is not abusing power spikes. So let me set the enemy hero really quick. I want to show you someone like Arthas, who's very, very strong. And we're going to go into Arthas and kind of show you what I'm talking about when it comes to power spikes. So let's set the level to 7.
Choose a talent.
And let's go to Echo, Mana Tide, and Ancestral. I'm going to complete my quest. I'm going to go stack up Ancestral really quick. Let me toggle cooldowns. Alright, so we're good to go. So, what I'm talking about with a power spike is Arthas beats Thrall if he plays correctly in earlier levels. So let me just show you what happens if I get really low health. And say I've been losing to Arthas this whole time and I hit level 7 and I'm ready to go, right? Like, look at my health versus Thrall's health. Now watch, or versus Arthas' health. Now watch this. Now look at our health versus each other. And we could have thrown everything at each other, and it's seriously, you have so much healing, you have so much potential, and you can just blow people apart because you hit one of the hardest power spikes at level 7. Now imagine if we were fighting at even health at the beginning of that. Imagine if I was fighting someone who's squishier that I could just quickly blow up with this combo. And that's what's really awesome about it, is you just have this really nice power spike that people aren't expecting, because you can do 15% of someone's health in 3 seconds with Ancestral Wrath. And I love Ancestral Wrath for a variety of reasons, not just because it's brutal in the solo lane when you're 1v1ing people, but imagine you're going against a Garrosh. The lower health he gets, the more armor he gets, and you could just boom 15% of his health right when he gets down to the bottom part of his health. That goes through armor. It's so powerful. So if you're not abusing Thrall's power spikes, and he has some of the best power spikes in the solo lane area anyways, because Echo is a huge power spike, Mana Tide allows you to spam your abilities all day, and Ancestral allows you to really 1v1 people. So those are his power spikes. The next common mistake I see on Thrall is people aren't using their abilities enough. In general, once you get Mana Tide Totem, you can pretty much spam your abilities in lane and almost never have mana problems, because your Mana Tide is always giving you back mana, and you have low mana costs on your Q because of your Echo of Elements. Your W is going to hit so many targets that it gets a full stack of Mana Tide on its own. So as long as you're getting your W across all the waves, you're getting your Q every time, you can see I'm pretty much using my abilities off cooldown. Globes are giving me back mana that I need, and I'm bullying down the enemy laner very easily. So that's what I'm talking about, really, with Thrall. It's like you can spam your abilities and barely cost any mana. Because, like, just watch, like, you get a full mana tide stack from that, I get a full mana tide stack from that, I get a full mana tide stack from that, and I'm also regenning this whole time. So that's how you really can bully with Thrall, is just keep using your abilities. Like, I am running low on mana, but it's not that it's because I've already killed him. I've killed 3 waves, and I see Thralls that they're too afraid to use any of their abilities, and it makes it to where it's just weak. It's just like you go to a lane, you could double soak with Thrall easily if you spam all your abilities and get things done. So that's the next big mistake. I could talk about his ults for days on when you should pick which one. The big idea that I want to explain is that Earthquake, in its perfect scenario, is a stupid amazing ult. And at level 20, it's even better. It gives you 15% of your max health as a shield 3 times. That's a Nexus shield 3 times for your entire team. It's incredibly powerful. It's probably one of the best level 20 ults in the game, in my opinion. But Earthquake can be one of those that can be really, really bad. If you pick it in the wrong times against Genjis, Maevs, even like Diablos, who are just flying around without, like, unhindered by slows, Earthquake's gonna be terrible. But if you pick it in the right comps against like Arthas's, or like if their whole team comp doesn't have dashes or anything like that, you get in the middle of their group in Earthquake, it's game over. And if you get in the middle of their group in Earthquake when you have Earthen Shields, it's definitely game over. Otherwise, Sundering's just a high amount of burst damage, it's a big stun, and it's just really, really nice for a setup for your team. So that's when you're going to want to go with Sundering. So I prefer Earthquake, but I find myself picking Sundering more often if I see they have like a Genji, a Hanzo, or just like tanks that just can't be slowed from the Earthquake. So those are the big mistakes that I commonly see. There's one more small one that I see, and it's the level 16 talent that is picked pretty much in every build right now. Let's just go Crash Lightning for fun. But this mistake, and Crash Lightning is also kind of a mini mistake. People picking Crash Lightning in the solo lane still is just ridiculous. But yeah, let's just say I go into this and I don't know, Grace and then Thunderstorm. So the way that Thunderstorm works, I'm going to explain it. Let me toggle cooldowns and I'll explain it a little bit, and then I'm going to explain the mistake that people make on it. So how Thunderstorm works is you need every stack you get increases the amount that your Q slows people, and then when it reaches 5 stacks, it increases the damage that your Q does. Pretty simple, right? Well, if you repeat the cast on the same person twice, it's going to reset your progress. Even if you complete the quest, it resets your progress. So you need to keep alternating who you're using it on if you want to complete the quest quickly. So you can see I quickly just move it back and forth, and I'm completing the quest very, very quickly. Boom, there it is. The problem is if you're seeing just a single hero that's in your range, a lot of people will just not cast Q, and they'll just be like waiting, and they lose so much damage because the only person in front of them is like, say for instance I use it on Arthas here. Well, now I can't use it on Arthas again without resetting my quest progress, so a lot of people are just sitting here not using their Q at all. Well, that's a mistake. And you might be saying, oh, do you just want us to use the Q and reset the quest? No, that's a mistake too. What you want to do is you want to get them in a position to where you don't need to hit them. What do I mean by that? Well, if there's only 4 minions available, you can hit a minion and it's going to bounce and always hit the enemy hero. And it's never going to reset the quest. And that's not just on minions too. Let's say, for instance, we get close to a tower. If I use this, I can bounce it over off the tower. This guy's a little too aggressive to show you what I'm doing, but maybe if I scare him off by getting him low, he might walk away. He's not. Okay. But you can essentially use the minions as a buffer, so you don't need to actually break your resets. Let me change the ally hero, or the enemy hero, really quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But you can use it on structures too. And the other benefit to using it on structures is some structures have really big hitboxes, and the range of the bounce of your chain lightning starts at the edge of the hitbox. Meaning that if you use it on like a fort or a keep, the chance of it bouncing to another hero is huge. So when you're pushing far ahead, stop using it on heroes it's so easy to just mash it on the keep, have it bounce around who you need it to go to, and blow them apart. But I see too many people that just sit there and they don't cast it because they're afraid that it's going to reset. So those are the major mistakes. I do want to give people 2 really quick build guides of what I would recommend playing around with. In very rare scenarios, on maps that there's not a lot of minions and there's fights last a long time, like BOE or Volskaya, where you get a lot of Crash Lightning stacks, I think it's okay to put Thrall in the 4-man still to do Crash Lightning, but it has been nerfed considerably, so it's usually better to just go with someone like Asmodan these days, who scales just as hard. It scales much harder, in fact. And is just much scarier in general than a Thrall. But Crash Lightning's still an opportunity. Say you pick Thrall early on, you get like hard countered by like Urel, you forget about it, and you want to counter pick it with something else. You can sneak him into the 4-man if needed. And that build essentially looks like this. You use the Crash Lightning to deal damage. You get the lower cooldowns from Mana Tide as well as from Frostwolf Grace. And you utilize those together so you can keep getting crash stacks without needing to get near the enemy, and more crash damage without needing to get near the enemy. Then the other build that I like to go, the main build that I go, in fact, is Echo of Elements. This just synergizes well with your whole kit, does a lot of damage. Level 4, I always go Mana Tide. Level 7, I usually go Ancestral. There are rare scenarios where I'll go Follow Through, where I think that the solo laner I'm going against, I won't be able to beat without Follow Through. Usually lower health targets that Ancestral won't get value off of, or people that I can consistently just wail on, getting the echo damage, the follow through damage, and just blow them apart through there. Then level 10, I already explained my logic on that. Level 13, if I'm going this build, I usually go Grace of Air because you're going to be getting in the fights and getting a lot of stacks off of that. Level 16, Thunderstorm is pretty much always the one I pick up. Sometimes people will pick Grace of Air and the Tempest Fury as you get the 3 times hit, which will trigger your passive more often, which means that you get lower cooldowns on all of your abilities and more mana back. That's a possibility if you want to. Alpha Wolf's pretty rare. Like, if they're really heavy with tanks, it's okay to go Alpha Wolf, but either way. And then level 13, you could really go with either or, to be honest, but level 16, it's almost always Thunderstorm. It's not just the bonus damage, but the fact that you can have a slow on a long range allows you to set up kills without using ultimate abilities. And then at level 20, if I get Earthquake, I always upgrade Earthquake. If I get the Sundering, I usually go with Wind Rush or Nexus Blades. If I'm going to go Wind Rush, I always go Grace of Air because you get the extra value from it. And if I didn't get Grace of Air, sometimes I'll go Nexus Blades just because you get to slow people. But if you're already getting the 16 talent with the slow, you don't need the Nexus Blades slow, so you go Wind Rush. So you can set up by knocking everyone around, teleport to the person you need, kill them while they're still stunned, and then you'll be able to move around. So that's essentially the Thrall build that I go. Once again, I may make a build, throw it into the comments below. I'll make builds on Heroes Hearth with a typed out reasoning for everything. Overall, those are the 4 common, well, there was more than 4 this time, but those are the common mistakes that I see on Thrall and the best ways that I would recommend playing Thrall, as I think he's one of the best solo laners, the most consistent solo laners in the game. I'm not going to say the best, but I definitely think he's one of the most consistent solo laners in the game. And I think he's a great hero to carry with in Hero League because he is pretty scary late game, and he's a very strong solo laner that people don't expect how much damage he can do at different power spikes if they don't play against Thrall very often. So feel free to check that out, try all that stuff out, and check out some of my other videos. Comment below. Do you like Thrall? Is there a Thrall build that you like trying out? Have you seen pros play something different on Thrall that's different from this? Because this is usually the most common ones that the pros are playing. But yeah, let me know. And as always, I appreciate subscribes. Thank you all for watching.